The other day, I was mindlessly scrolling YouTube when a certain video caught my eye. It was from someone who'd never played Skyrim before finally giving it a go. It was really well made, and hold on, this got how many views? Fellas, I like swords, and the idea of schadenfreude means that you probably enjoy watching others suffer, so I have a proposition. I've never tried Dark Souls. I've watched plenty of videos on it, and I've 100%ed Fallen Order, but I've yet to get into the Souls trilogy. Until now, that is. Eager to start where it all began, I load up the Microsoft Store and buy Dark Souls 1 I'm sorry, this costs how much? These videos aren't even monetized. But not to worry, maybe the Scholar of the First Sin will be less expensive. Luckily, I grabbed a copy of Dark Souls 3 at my local GameStop for half that price a while back, so I boot it up and roll the introduction. And while that's going, let me explain what we're going to be doing today. See, a run of the entire game would take me forever to film and edit, so for this video, I'm just going to be going after the first of 3 Lords of Cinder, the Abyss Watchers. The bell tolls, and from the earth I rise, the perfect avatar of stubbornness and brute force, 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. He is round, he is scantily clad, and he is armed with a massive fucking stick. He is a force to be reckoned with. I do some light reading and pick up a soul in magic soup before crushing a few more hooded hooligans and hip-hopping my way out of the tutorial. I take more damage than I reasonably should from these very low-level enemies, dodge this arrow perfectly, and parkour my way on over to a wide-open arena with a suspicious man in the center. I kindly remove the sword from his chest, and he absolutely rails me. Fair enough, I think to myself, but his health was going down pretty fast, so I think I can take him. After all, he's just a big guy in heavy armor. What's the worst he could do? Okay. So I master his new form. I stay close, roll when I absolutely do not have to, and things go well. Some might even say, swimmingly. This pleases President Theodore Roosevelt, and the man jumps for joy, filled with the fire of 1,000 suns and a coiled sword buried deep within my rectal cavity. I beat up more homeless squatters and enter Firelink's shrine. I greet the firebender, light a flame of my own, meet the gang, and level up for the first time. I explore around the shrine, where I find this scantily clad gentleman, who kindly dices me into small pieces and leaves me to bleed out on the floor. How very courteous indeed. His immense aura of power causes me to immediately abandon any ideas of retrieving my souls, and I incense my way to the high wall.
Hey, that's pretty good.
I disguise myself perfectly from the groundskeeper, get my pushed in by a basic enemy, and fail to wake up the sleeping beauty. Roosevelt brutalizes this particular man with extreme prejudice for absolutely no reason, and he drops us our first piece of armor. I learned that enemies can heal in this game, and this dragon scares the bejesus out of me. But then I realized something. Oh my. The dragon can kill all the hollows outside, whilst 26th President of the United States Teddy R remains safely behind bars. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a soul farm. This is profit. I grab some opera glasses, so I may better view the backbone of my workforce, the soiler of my loincloth. However, I don't want to abuse the soul farm too much, and I have no way to deal with the dragon, so I check on the other side of the high wall, and immediately bludgeon the crossbow out of this poor soul. How convenient. I am well and truly penetrated by the behemoth of a man before me, and after returning to beat his dogs and cousin, I find, to my and Roosevelt's great displeasure, a locked door. I cross the bridge, where I meet an archer with short-term memory issues, and nothing else of consequence really. It's all over. That scared the shit out of me. I dispose of the little guy when he is but weak and defenseless, and grab his greatest asset, a basic longbow. Now I ask myself, why would the game present me with an impassable dragon on one end of the wall, and a ranged weapon on the other? Ignoring all implications the game is giving me, I instead run straight past the dragon and into... It goes better than I thought it would.
Nice shot!
I stock up on arrows and head back, where I blast the dragon with toothpicks for 15 whole minutes, until my recording gets too full and crashes, and the lizard fucks off. I loot the bodies from the final harvest, and find this greatsword. It's pretty cool. Now I'm a big man, with a big sword, and I blast this guy in the head. They never should have given Ted a firearm. They were fools. My recording crashes once more as I grab a better shield and put levels into strength to actually use the claymore. So I finally sort out my shit and empty my storage. I love this sword. This sword is immense. As the saying goes, a raw sword for a raw man. So I slap on the raw refine, because it gives raw damage. And the men don't get more raw than 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt. I come back to the tin can for round 2, and absolutely rent him a new asshole with my intense backstab, and bomb this thief into next week. I locate baby's second bonfire and a sneaky treasure, and get jumped by a hollow that sends my soul into an alternate dimension. There are more civilians here that need clearing, so No, not again! Ted dons a new look, and we drop our first piece of good loot from the Tin Man. I chase down and beat up this weird little blue grub, and it gives me a gemstone. How kind. Thank you, little blue grub. I then notice this hole in the floor, and observe as Ted explodes and then crushes the man beneath his feet. He's truly a man of civility and grace. We find another locked door, and then a locked cell, but this time it's got a little goblin man in it. With nothing more to do, I head back to Firelink and level strength until I can use the Lothric shield. Finally progressing on the high wall, I meet the tin can's longer brother, and own him because he cannot climb ladders. I also finally invest in some healing and carry weight, because the shield is heavy as all hell. I then happen upon some winter gloves, this unit and a half of a man, and an entire establishment, which I trash, receiving an Estus shard and a cell key for my efforts. Now where have I seen a cell before? So I return to the little goblin man, who hands me a ring and foolishly places his trust in me to give it to the right person. However, I decide the right person is 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, and there's nothing he can do about it. I lodge a dagger betwixt the squeaky cheeks of this horizontally unchallenged man. And he gives me a wonderful ballet performance, before I simply spam the right bumper and cut him in half. Why doesn't he spam the right bumper? Is he stupid? I run from the big scary courtyard with the big scary soup cans and climb my way up to a 5-man surprise party. And it's here where I discover why the door earlier was locked. It's a shortcut. It's beautiful. It is the circle of life and death visualized in perfect harmony. I destroy public property out of sheer joy, then fell a night and flee to the safety at the base of the wall. Finally, an exit. A door to the outside. I examine the walls. No bosses. We're clear. I go to open the door, but oh no. Dear God, there's a cutscene. From the portal behind me emerges what I can only describe as a funny-looking dog with a banger soundtrack. Things go better than expected, so I pummel my favorite archer and return for another go. Estus replenished, magic filled, sword sharpened, ass washed. I stand under him and stab him in the ass repeatedly. It's working. He charges at me in a highly telegraphed blind rage. I run around his frost breath and penetrate his posterior again and again, and just like that, it's over. I go back to the shrine for my real boss fight, and within seconds I put down the master and he enters the stairs. Guys, is Dark Souls not that hard? Is the gaming community just a bunch of filthy liars? With my ego at an all-time high, I put a level into health and learn that the goblin has become a shopkeep in Firelink. Very nice, gay rat. Very nice. Back at the cliff, I realize I do not have a banner, and must have reversed the order in which I'm supposed to go. I climb the 7,000 steps, dominate the Lothric forces by spamming the right bumper, and enter the castle. Another wall and ceiling sweep confirms that there are no bosses in here, and I greet the woman who lives here the only way I can. She gives me the banner I need, and permission to join Phase, so I slap on the Covenant insignia, and take in the view, before flaunting my victory flag for all to see, and meeting my very normal-looking flight crew. After a short intermission to change my pants, I explore around a bit and notice a small colony of what looks like spider egg sacs below me. So I sit back and admire the beauty of my presidential avatar, while all my foes simply kill each other. Upon visiting the sack gathering, one of them begins groaning, so I take him into my service out of pity, and he vanishes from this mortal plane. I fail to wake up a sleeping dragon for the third time, watch a portcullis emerge from solid stone, and enter the Undead Settlement. This place is terrifying. Bodies hang from every tree and rooftop in town. The occupants are generally hostile, and little goblins jump me from the shadows. So it's just like Paris, really. I send this sack to oblivion, shoot this little shit out of the rafters, and dispose of a group of rowdy rabble-rousers and their leader. I also take a side route for some extra loot and discover that the lowly workers have harnessed fire, as well as fashion. However, it seems I've taken more of an intended route than anticipated, so I gut this would-be ambusher, shoot this worker directly in the dick, and get crushed by this massive fool. I drop down a small path where I hit this wall, bring Smokey Bear to tears, and transport an old wizard from his cage straight to hell. This locked door saddens Teddy deeply, so we backtrack, shooting this being of great width several times in the cranium, and witnessing depression. Dark Souls is not a mental health positive game. This small entrance catches my eye, and I work my way through a couple sewer rats, but it's no big deal. I've killed worse. The rat bastard gives me an engagement ring, and I'm invaded by a purple fellow with malicious intent. He absolutely humiliates my entire bloodline, and I deservingly win the duel through sheer skill and determination, before finally learning what Estus shards are for. I kill this wooden board, and watch as my enemies are obliterated by what can only be described as spear-shaped divine intervention. Oh fuck it, it's me too. I pick up a couple notable treasures while getting pounded from the skies above, am refused entrance to the domicile of this red-eyed freak, and return to the other side of the locked door, where I decide I'm not quite ready for a boss fight, and boldly flee. I put an arrow in this man's skull, which prompts him to throw his soup at me, and end it all. His friend gets cut in half by the grace of Theodore Roosevelt, and we meet an imbecile. He is rude. I don't like his tone. But he looks strong and has a big hammer, so I do not fight him because I am scared. Ted finds yet another locked door and enters the church a disappointed man. We meet an onion. Life is okay again. He hints that I can ascend the church by using the elevator, and after some tomfoolery, I rise and meet my next opponent. He is huge. He is heavily armed. He is strong. He's completely peaceful and cannot be locked onto. We make friends. The onion bids me farewell as I descend, and I reach the basement, where there is yet another weird-looking dog waiting for me. But this dog has a sword, and turns 26th President of the United States Theodore Roosevelt into a popsicle, with no effort at all. We come back for seconds, put an arrow in its head, a sword through its neck, and it keels over, and surrenders its chilly blade to me. I hit level 28 and up my health, then discover the old man I cast into hell earlier has arrived miraculously into my basement instead. How curious. I return to the road of desaturated landscapes, and I demolish a corvid and begin to question if Ted is too high of a level for where we are in the game. I observe yet another case of fatal friendly fire, and wonder if such pathfinding was intentional to convey the misery of Dark Souls to the player. This purple enthusiast sends me into a Hitchcock film, and I proceed to shoot him repeatedly and finish him off with a devastating melee blow, before making a couple new friends, starting a couple more fires, and grabbing some light reading for the road. This is not my proudest moment. Before I enter into the new area, I figure I should see what boss I skipped earlier, and head back into the oddly zen arena ready for a fight. But there's nothing here. Sure, there's a few hollows, but that's not that bad. Honestly, I was expecting more. This boss is disgusting. Its minions eat up all my focus like needy only children, and it has a putrid sack between its legs that full-on has jiggle fizzle. I slap its tree balls in rapid succession, as we've done before, and it crushes the arena floor, causing both of us to plummet 200 feet down into a pit. After a couple of bouts of running for my life and sending evil thoughts to whoever decided to give this thing arms, I realize it has more sacks on its shoulders and hands, and the fight is all but over for the Ent. I send Gay Rat out to rob the dead, nab a fire spell, and sell off my garbage to the handmaiden. I then head back to the Road of Depression, where I am accosted by this man wielding a whole ass tree. I MMA RKO an idiot and his dog. pick up another shield, and my world is positively violated by the presence of another. Fortunately for me, even the power of technological superiority can't save him, as he brought a pickaxe and a gun to a big sword fight. Old TR gets absolutely dripped out, but heavy is the head that wears the crown, and we must remove the chef's hat, for it is too much for our supple neck. I make a mad dash across the marsh for the prospect of dry land on the other side, and find some better armor. I keep the deserter trousers for weight management, and the Lothric gauntlets for their armor rating, but must sacrifice my bow for the new flowy apparel. However, this matters not, as Ted dominates this club enjoyer and his sword-swinging madman regardless, with only his own 2 hands and a big fucking sword. I ignore this sign, using my better judgment, and gaze out upon the poison swamp of Farron. Another day, another bonfire, and I rise from the smoke and Firelink to speak to the gang and transpose my boss souls into a ring and greatsword. Unfortunately, I am unfit to wield the Hollow Slayer greatsword, so I throw it in a chest never to be seen again, and return to the unpleasant gargoyle where I hop down a crack and break both my legs and ankles, and am eaten alive by rodents of unusual size. I set free the damsel in distress by gaslighting her into thinking I've touched her, when I have not, and banish her from this realm. This sluggish goon gets the jump on me, and I cut him to pieces and waddle away into the catacombs with what little dignity I have left. Ted finds yet another locked door, and we get angry. I enter a bogged cesspool of wretchedness and toxicity, much like the state of Florida, and roll my way past any and all enemies, allured by shiny orbs dotted around the place. I am granted another Estus shard, a dog water shield, and I extinguish the first of 3 pillars in order to proceed beyond the swamp. I beat up some dogs, sip some good soup, and follow the roaring bonfires around me to the base of a ladder. Thinking this is where my next flame is, I scamper on up and find that I am wrong and a fool. I squash another bug, commit arson, and pick up another clan invite. Not willing to join the Abyss Watchers quite yet, I head up a nearby elevator, where I meet this absolute brick. As it turns out, he's not that tough, and I simply stand under him and violate his undercarriage repeatedly until he dies. A flawless victory for Theodore Roosevelt. The man is ecstatic. I crush more bugs, upgrade my shield game, and absolutely do not die to this level 1 enemy due to my hubris. I lay waste to the hollow men, women, and children to reclaim my honor, and descend to the depths to slaughter slugs and steal their secret spoils. I grab another bonfire, and dump levels into attunement so I can use fire magic, before grabbing a ring to increase my carry weight from the petite lord, and materializing back into the swamp. I use my massive brain to explode a wall, and go to sell my find for souls, but I learn that I must instead give them to this shady individual for better inventory. Back in the swamp once more, I am physically and mentally put in the dirt by a couple of rabid goat shamans. Holy fuck. In trying to find another route, I am cursed to die of feathered statue disease by these funky frogs. Roosevelt is most upset by this series of events, so we muck around until I find the final flame, and open the gates of the Undead Legion. I bid Florida goodbye and enter the Legion's Keep. It's a pretty nice place. I wise up and kill the cult leader first, springing down on him like a bird of prey, before laying waste to his constituents. Upon witnessing a gang war to my left, I decide, screw that noise, and verge right. I harness the power of fire, and get absolutely rolled by this freaky blue lizard as he dominates my third-person camera in this small and confined space. The lizard falls before me, and I come across this creepy little beast, but surely he can't fit through this door. Surely not. You know, at this point I should really just stop saying things like that. I shoot this man in the forehead, boldly flee, and he transcends space and time and enters the ceiling. Nice! He dies from what I can only imagine was suffocation, and I'm given his souls and zone for the plundering. Thank you, Dark Souls. I love you, Dark Souls. I pick up some strange coal in the corner, and return home to discover yet another homeless mage in my basement. I recall my swamp shard, and bring my Estus flask to a plane of higher glory, before giving my fiery coals to Santa's cooler cousin, and making a deal with this wizard turtle for a spell I cannot use for unspecified reasons. I watch as the president becomes beautiful, and we delve back into Farron to give the final exiled knight a fair fight. He kicks the shit out of me, so I try again. It goes very well. But our man President Theodore Roosevelt is a stubborn fella, and refuses to be stopped by a bullet in this edgy night, for he is the bull moose, an absolute unit to be sure. I bring him to his knees with one extraordinary athletic butt slap.
I like your cut, G.
And restore glory to my family name. I put one final level into health, and trek out in search of my final reckoning. My enemies hack away at themselves before me. This edgelord ruins my day. I blow this Gru to hell, and enter the arena of the Undead Legion. The fight goes better than I expected. He's fast, but Teddy is quite a nimble fellow by now, and can dodge pretty well. And then it happens. Another Abyss Watcher rises from the dead. Then another. Two of them fight each other for some reason, while I handle the second Watcher. Now we're back to a 1v1. Things are good. And they respawn. I don my finest apparel for a boost of morale. It goes as anticipated.
Prank him, John. You already know.
So I learn my lesson. No fun allowed. And I return in full uniform. I watch the boys go ham on the class nerd. I spam the right bumper. It's happening. I heavy target the main Watcher while the twins squabble in the background. And finally, I cut him down. I'm free. Hey, why isn't the cutscene ending? Wait, why are there other Abyss Watchers sending him power? Why is his sword on fire? Well, the fire sword hurts like hell. He's quick as lightning, but he has one fatal flaw. A small health pool. I use the breaks in his larger attack animations to light spam, and like all the others, he falls. The embers drain from his body. Ted dons his best apparel. We are victorious. This grotesque abomination looks on in awe and is swiftly cut down by my personal entourage outside. An hour of grinding later, and our boy is fully geared up to join the watch. We pray to the old wolf, pledge our allegiance to a new order, and 26th President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt, now stands alone amongst the bodies of the fallen legion. Our mission is complete. Our work all but finished. We've won. So that was my first experience with Dark Souls. Overall, I think it's a fantastic game. The map and material is super grungy, and some of the enemies are pretty gross and Lovecraftian, but it's got great fantasy and challenging combat, and I like that. If you'd like to see me continue the journey of Theodore Roosevelt with more Lords of Cinder, feel free to leave a comment and hit that funny button. But otherwise, that's about all I have. So thank you so much for watching, and don't you dare go hollow.
Listen